This is Delcar's Dungeon Mastery. Grab your dice bag, sit down, and let's go on an adventure. So this is episode 1, so we're going to talk about session 0. It makes sense. Shut up. This is where everyone gets together to make their characters, the DM pitches the setting, explains the world, and here are the 10 things your players must know to have a smooth campaign start. If you're playing a pre-existing setting, a lot of the work's been done for you, but if they're not familiar with the setting, or you've made changes, or if it's a homebrew, this is when you make all of that clear. 1. Define adventurers. Are they working for the authorities? Are they free-roaming mercenaries? Divinely appointed champions? Will they be widely welcomed as heroes for hire? Or barely tolerated useful outsiders? 2. The gods. Who are they? How many do we know about? And do they meddle all the time, talking directly to the people of the world like the Greek pantheon? Or are they subtle, sending signs and gifts only to those who listen? 3. Magic level. High magic, low magic, no or unknown magic. Are your cities alight with magical street lamps and you can expect magic items on the regular? Or are wizards shunned, magic a hidden thing, not trusted and little understood? Do witches get burned at the stake? Or in a high magic setting, oh, that's the guy that went to the academy. 4. Tech level. For tech level, I'm going to go with the GURPS definitions. Using the GURPS definitions, most fantasy campaigns fall firmly into tech level 3 to 4. Tech level 3, it's true medieval. Tech level 4, Age of Sail. Now, different parts of the world will be a little ahead, a little behind. You'll have Iron Age barbarians and clockwork fiddling gnomes, and you can have a mana punk, but we're not ready to talk about mana punk. But roughly, your typical fantasy RPG setting is somewhere between tech level 3 and 4. Somewhere between Rome's been gone for a long damn time now, and hey, the Renaissance is about to kick over. Now, tying together magic level and tech level, now's the time to be specific about guns, communication, and transportation. These things are going to shape your world. It could be a very Flintstone setting. In other words, all the conveniences of today, reskinned. Can you fly cross-country? Can you pick up the shell phone and call somebody magically? The nature of society and its government's really, really going to change, and you need to take that into account, especially if you're world building. The rarer and more expensive the magic and the technology are, the more they're going to be concentrated in the hands of the elite. And in a typical pseudo-medieval RPG world, that means the noble class and the rulers. 5. Classes and races. DMs, this is where you're going to have to learn to say no. Not all races and classes fit every setting or every campaign. For example, tieflings and the the part angel guys. If your gods and demons can't manifest in a physical sense, or they don't exist as such, these races just can't be a part of the setting. They'll either be one-off NPCs, or a PC that whined itself into existence. Your Warforged Artificer? Yeah, you're not putting him in my Shamans and Superstitions Stone Age game. No outer beings at all? No warlocks. Maybe even no clerics. Now is when you really need to touch on how the races can be expected to interact as well. The less contact societies have with one another, the more the other is going to be looked upon with suspicion. And, in the history of your world, if the dwarves and the elves have had a millennia-long war, they're not going to be sharing drinks at the bar. To be clear, talking about class and race, I encourage DMs to try and let players play the character they want. Players, genuinely listen when the DM explains your character concept doesn't fit the setting. This can be make or break. The game doesn't belong to any one of us. You're going to hear me go on about this more than once. The game belongs to everybody as a whole. The Dungeon Master is just as important as every player, even though he does most of the work. Now, players, on that note, if you don't respect the Dungeon Master's time in building his world and respect his vision, this might not be the game for you. Dungeon Masters, if you think your game is going to be this and just this, and players need to accept it as is or take a hike, you might not have any players. You got to find the middle ground. Everybody's got to learn to compromise. 6. Uncomfortable situations. X cards are bullshit. Period. If you've got no-go situations game-wise, bring them up before the game. If you're an arachnophobe and your DM's going to run the Drow series, dip out. Bringing the game to a screeching halt sucks and is unfair to the other players. DMs, counterpoint. Read the room. Dial back the descriptions of the gore, the skittering noises of the approaching spiders, and pull back a little. Unless it's a horror game. They signed up for that shit. They get what they get. But now, let's touch on the most common, uncomfortable situation in games. Sex. Sex in the game. I'm a huge advocate, and I exclusively use fade to black. Even if everyone thinks they're cool with it, someone won't be. Someone will take it too far. If you really want explicit sex scenes in your game, seek professional help. Or even better, I have a cure for that. I want you to picture your gamer group sitting around your bed with bored, confused, and uncomfortable looks on their faces the next time you're intimate with someone. Or just by yourself. Because that's what's going to happen at the table. Just let's try this instead. Horndog the Bard leads the stable boy, bar wench, sex goblin, whatever, off into a private room. The rest of you wind down and have a well-deserved rest. The next morning, you gather in the common room. As a general rule, one player should never steal from the time from the group as a whole. If Bobo Badhill wants to pickpocket every NPC, or Merlin Dor the Wizard wants to RP every minute of his shopping sessions while everybody else is sitting around bored, that's just as bad. Don't do it. Alright, back on track. 7. Languages. DMs. Make clear what the common tongue is. Do all the travelers speak Elvish, since it's the longest established and slow changing, and it's just what people speak across borders? Or is there a pidgin trade tongue that's got little bits and pieces of different languages, a generic common tongue? How many languages are in the campaign area? How screwed is my low intelligence fighter? Let's see. 8. Money. Gold standard, silver standard, paper money, or credit. Is a gold coin world round, or do you need to hit a money changer every time you cross borders? Do I need to track every expense, or is there a weekly or monthly cost of living I can deduct? 9. Supplies. Do I get a refill every time we're at camp, or am I going to track every arrow, bite of food, and how much water we have? If the answer is mostly no, like most campaigns, don't be offended when the DM suddenly wants to track how much water you carry as you cross the desert of defenestration. And DMs, don't be a dick. Let them know when they need to think about it. These 2 points lead neatly into 10. Encumbrance. Or, where exactly are you carrying 3 halberds? Use common sense here. Even if your character is strong enough to do it, after the 3rd hand weapon, you're going to be clumsy carrying all that steel. Quivers won't be bottomless without some heavy enchanting, and gold weighs a hell of a lot. This is another one where most DMs will hand-wave it until you start abusing it. So if you're truly going old school and want exact weights carried, tell the players up front. That's it. Those are the 10 things I strongly recommend you cover during Session 0. I'll be touching on some of them in even greater detail in their own videos, but this is a good overview. When everyone comes together to game, the goal is to have fun. You all have to find that common core where you can collaborate. If the setting doesn't do it for you, or you can't find a character concept that works, don't play. It'll be better for the game and your friendships to say, hey, thanks for the invite, but this one, it just isn't for me. Than for you to either sit there bored and frustrated, stacking your dice and looking at your phone the whole time, or for you to disrupt the game, making it into what you really wanted. Thank you for coming with me on this first adventure. We've got piles and piles of modules ahead of us. We've got plenty of dice, and I'm pretty sure there's Mountain Dew in the fridge. So, come along with me. We'll see what we can come up with. What's the next big adventure? Thanks again.